Welcome back to Top 5. Title: A Nightmare in Hell. The air hung thick with a sense of dread as night fell over a forgotten part of the world, where the boundaries of reality and dreams blurred. Deep within the twisted woods of Crystal Lake, an eerie silence enveloped the land, broken only by the distant howls of unseen creatures. Tonight, three legends of horror would clash in a brutal showdown that would leave the earth soaked in blood. Freddy Krueger, the sadistic master of dreams, emerged from the shadows, his signature fedora casting an ominous shadow over his charred face. The very ground trembled beneath his feet, fueled by the nightmares that thrived on fear. He grinned, revealing his steel claws, each blade glinting wickedly in the moonlight. "Welcome to my playground, boys. Let's have some fun." From the tree lean, Jason Voorhees stepped into the clearing, his hulking figure draped in darkness. The iconic hockey mask obscured his twisted visage, but the glint of his machete promised death. He moved with a terrifying silence, the mere sight of him sending chills through the night. "Ich," he growled, his voice a low rumble, barely more than a whisper as he advanced toward Freddy. And then, from the shadows, Michael Myers emerged, a spectral figure clad in his infamous coveralls. His pale mask was devoid of expression, yet an aura of pure evil radiated from him. The knife he wielded gleamed ominously, a harbinger of the carnage to come. The three titans of terror stood face to face, the air crackling with tension as they prepared for the inevitable clash. Freddy struck first, lunging at Jason with a flurry of strikes aimed at his chest. His claws sliced through the air, but Jason, with an instinct honed from years of survival, blocked the attack with his machete. The sound of metal screeching against metal echoed through the night, a violent symphony that marked the beginning of their deadly dance. "Is that all you've got?" Freddy taunted, using his agility to slip away from Jason's reach. He twisted in the air, aiming a slash at Michael, who stood stoically, calculating his next move. The knife aimed for Freddy's throat, but the dream demon ducked just in time, feeling the rush of air as the blade narrowly missed him. Jason seized the moment, swinging his machete again at Freddy, who ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding the deadly arc of the blade. The momentum sent Jason off balance, and Freddy capitalized, slashing at Jason's back with a vicious swipe. Blood spurted from the wound as Jason let out a primal roar, furious but undeterred. "Time for a little nightmare." Freddy laughed, his voice echoing with madness. He vanished into the shadows, using his dream-manipulating powers to create illusions of terror around them. Nightmarish visions swirled, but Michael remained unfazed, his focus unwavering. He charged toward the source of the laughter, his knife poised to strike. Freddy reappeared behind Michael, aiming a deadly slash. But Michael, anticipating the move, spun around and plunged his knife deep into Freddy's side. The dream demon howled in pain, stumbling back, blood oozing from the wound. "You think you can kill me?" he spat, his laughter turning into a sinister cackle. "I'm eternal." But Jason wasn't done. He charged at Freddy, machete raised high. With a swift motion, Jason brought the blade down, aiming for Freddy's skull. In a desperate move, Freddy sidestepped, but the slash caught him across the arm, severing skin and muscle. Freddy retaliated with a furious swipe of his claws, carving a deep gash into Jason's shoulder. The three titans collided in a whirlwind of violence. Michael, with a cold and calculated demeanor, lunged at Jason, driving his knife into the side of his mask, aiming for his throat. Jason growled, grabbing Michael's wrist and twisting, forcing him to drop the knife. With a powerful shove, he sent Michael staggering back. Freddy took advantage of the chaos, appearing behind Jason and delivering a brutal kick that sent him crashing to the ground. But Jason, ever resilient, rolled to his feet, swinging his machete with a speed that caught Freddy off guard. The blade sliced through the air, nicking Freddy's cheek as he ducked just in time. "Enough games!" Jason roared, anger boiling within him. He charged at Freddy, the machete poised for a deadly strike. But Freddy, with a sly grin, vanished once more, reappearing behind Michael. "Let's see how you handle this," he cackled, slashing at Michael's back. Michael grunted in pain, but he quickly turned, his expression unchanging as he retaliated with a brutal punch that sent Freddy staggering. The Dream Demon laughed, blood trickling from his mouth. "You're going to wish you stayed in the shadows," he taunted, his claws glinting as he lunged again. The battle escalated into a frenzied melee, each combatant demonstrating their deadly skills. Freddy, Jason, and Michael exchanged blows, the air filled with the metallic scent of blood. Freddy's agility allowed him to dodge and weave, but he was met with Jason's brute strength and Michael's relentless focus. In a moment of chaos, Jason managed to land a powerful kick against Freddy, sending him crashing into the trees. The impact caused branches to splinter and crack, sending debris flying. Freddy, furious, summoned dark energy, creating a whirlwind of nightmares that enveloped the battlefield. Shadows danced around them, distorting reality and fueling their fears. But Michael remained unfazed, his expression eternally stoic. He charged through the shadows, cutting through the darkness with his knife, striking at Freddy with a series of brutal slashes. Freddy howled, claws raking at Michael, but the shape of death was relentless, pushing forward with an unyielding force. Jason, recovering from the initial onslaught, watched as the two fought. His rage boiled over, and he charged at them both, swinging his machete with all his might. He aimed for Freddy, but Michael stepped in front, deflecting the blow with his own knife. The clash sent shockwaves through the air, and both Freddy and Michael turned to face Jason, fury in their eyes. "Get out of my way!" Jason roared, swinging his machete again, this time aiming for Michael. The blade cut through the air, but Michael ducked just in time, tackling Jason to the ground. They rolled in a frenzy of limbs, each struggling for dominance, knives glinting dangerously in the moonlight. Freddy, seizing the moment, lunged at them both, claws extended. He aimed for Jason's exposed back, slashing deeply as Jason's primal growls filled the night. Blood sprayed as Freddy's claws carved through flesh, but Jason, fueled by sheer rage, rolled onto his back, launching Freddy into the air with a powerful thrust of his legs. Freddy landed hard, pain radiating through his body, but he quickly regained his footing. The three stood amidst the chaos, panting heavily, blood-soaked and battered. Jason's shirt was torn, revealing deep cuts and gashes, while Michael's coveralls were stained crimson with the blood of his enemies. "Let's finish this," Freddy hissed, his voice dripping with malice. He charged at Jason, claws slashing wildly. Jason retaliated, swinging his machete with deadly precision. The blade met Freddy's claws, creating a shower of sparks as they clashed. Michael, ever the silent predator, took advantage of their distraction. He lunged at Freddy, driving his knife deep into the Dream Demon's abdomen. Freddy let out a guttural scream, his laughter fading into a gurgle as he staggered back, blood pouring from his wound. "You can't kill me," he rasped, but the light in his eyes began to fade. Jason seized the opportunity, using his machete to deliver a devastating blow to Freddy's neck. The blade sliced through flesh and bone, severing the head from the body in a brutal display of violence. Freddy's lifeless form crumpled to the ground, blood pooling around him as his head rolled away, a look of shock forever etched on his face. With Freddy defeated, Jason turned his attention to Michael, who stood with a cold, calculating expression. The two titans faced off, knowing that only one would emerge from this nightmare alive. Michael lunged first, his knife aimed at Jason's heart. Jason sidestepped, his machete swinging wide as he aimed for Michael's midsection. The sound of clashing metal filled the air as they exchanged blows, each strike resonating like thunder. Jason's raw strength met Michael's relentless precision, the two locked in a brutal dance of death. Blood sprayed as knives and machetes found their marks, each combatant sustaining injuries that would have felled lesser foes. With a primal roar, Jason managed to land a powerful blow, the machete slicing into Michael's shoulder. The shape of death staggered back, but with a fierce determination, he lunged again, driving his knife into Jason's side. The two titans stood locked in a deadly embrace, their weapons buried deep within each other. But Jason, driven by sheer will, twisted his machete, causing agony to ripple through Michael's body. With a final, desperate surge of strength, he pulled the machete free and swung it with deadly intent. The blade found its mark, slicing through Michael's throat, blood spraying as the embodiment of evil fell to his knees. Title: A Nightmare in Hell, continued. As Michael's lifeless body crumpled to the ground, Jason stood tall amidst the carnage, his chest heaving with exertion. The air was thick with the metallic scent of blood, and the eerie silence that followed felt like a grim tribute to the fallen. The moon hung high above, casting a pale light over the battlefield, illuminating the aftermath of the brutal confrontation. Jason wiped the blood from his machete with a grim expression, the iconic hockey mask hiding the twisted emotions beneath. He had emerged victorious, but at what cost? The weight of his actions hung heavily in the air, a mix of triumph and the lingering remnants of his unending rage. As he surveyed the remains of his two greatest adversaries, he felt a sense of emptiness settle within him. Freddy's head lay a few feet away, eyes wide in eternal shock, while Michael's body lay sprawled, the blood pooling around him like a dark halo. Jason's grip tightened around the hilt of his machete as he stepped toward Michael's remains, feeling the lingering darkness that surrounded them. He had defeated the nightmares, but they had left their mark upon him. Suddenly, a shudder ran through the ground, an unnatural force that sent a chill up Jason's spine. The shadows seemed to ripple, and the air crackled with a sinister energy. Freddy's laughter echoed through the night, haunting and twisted. "You think you've won, Jason," it taunted, the voice a cruel mockery of the victory he had just achieved. "I am the nightmare that never dies." Jason's heart raced as he turned toward the source of the voice, realizing that Freddy's essence was not so easily extinguished. The remnants of the dream demon began to swirl, dark clouds coalescing into a grotesque form, his spirit refusing to fade away. "You may have taken my body," Freddy hissed, "but I will always haunt your dreams." The shadows around Jason twisted and merged, forming nightmarish images of his past, memories of the countless lives he had taken, the torment he had endured. They clawed at his mind, threatening to drag him back into the darkness. But Jason stood his ground, gripping his machete tightly, determination igniting a fire within him. "No!" Jason roared, his voice a guttural growl that echoed through the trees. He charged at the swirling mass of Freddy's essence, swinging his machete with all his might. The blade sliced through the darkness, a powerful arc that disrupted the phantom. For a moment, it seemed to weaken, the laughter fading into a pained wail. But Freddy's spirit was relentless, and with a cackling resurgence, he surged forward, claws extended, aiming for Jason's throat. Jason ducked just in time, the razor-sharp claws grazing the top of his mask. In a swift motion, he spun around, delivering a brutal kick to Freddy's form, sending the dream demon spiraling back. "Enough of your games!" Jason shouted, his voice low and deadly. He charged again, this time with renewed vigor, aiming for the heart of the dark spirit. His machete cut through the air, and in a moment of sheer determination, he plunged the blade deep into the murky essence of Freddy. The reaction was explosive. Freddy's form convulsed, howling in torment as the blade pierced through the darkness, disrupting the very fabric of his being. "You think you can kill me in the dream world?" Freddy screeched, his voice filled with rage and disbelief. "I am eternal." But Jason pressed forward, driving the blade deeper, as the darkness began to unravel around him. The shadows writhed, and the very ground trembled beneath the weight of their battle. "No more nightmares!" Jason bellowed, the raw power of his will surging through him. "You will not haunt anyone again." With one final, devastating thrust, he drove the machete deep into the heart of Freddy's essence. The air erupted in a cacophony of screams and laughter, a horrifying symphony that filled the night. The shadows twisted and contorted, releasing a blinding light that illuminated the clearing. Freddy's form began to dissipate, his laughter turning to screams of anguish as he was pulled into the void. "This isn't over, Jason," he cried, the echoes of his voice fading into nothingness. "I'll be back. I'll always come back." And then, with a final burst of energy, the dark spirit shattered, leaving nothing but silence and a faint shimmer in the air. Jason stood amid the aftermath, panting heavily as he stared at the spot where Freddy had once stood. The air was still, the oppressive weight of darkness lifting as dawn began to break on the horizon. The first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, illuminating the remnants of the brutal conflict. As the light spread, Jason looked around at the carnage, the bodies of his foes lying lifelessly on the ground. He felt a profound emptiness wash over him, a hollow victory that echoed in the silence. He had triumphed over Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, but the cost weighed heavily on his soul. With a final glance at the fallen, Jason turned away, machete in hand, and began to walk into the light. The shadows receded behind him, the memories of his battles fading as he forged a new path. He was a survivor, a force of nature, forever marked by the horrors he had faced. And as he moved forward, he embraced the dawn, knowing that he would continue to haunt the nightmares of those who dared to cross his path. In the end, Jason Voorhees stood alone, the last champion of a brutal and chaotic world. The nightmares had fought fiercely, but he had emerged victorious, a testament to the enduring strength of a warrior forged in darkness. And though the echoes of his past would linger, he welcomed the new day, ready to face whatever horrors awaited him in the future.